All right, y'all. I wanted to do a video for you to help with polynomial long division. We did not get to this in class today, but we're going to need it as we continue on in homework 12. So let's refresh our memory about how polynomial long division works. So basically, your dividend is the number that goes inside your division sign in here. The divisor is the thing on the outside that you're dividing by. As you do your division, you're going to build the quotient up here on top. And after you finish the whole process, whatever is left down here at the end is your remainder. So when you're asked to do this, you're going to know your dividend and your divisor. You'll put those two pieces in, and you're going to build your quotient. The way that you build your quotient is you're going to divide the leading term inside divided by the leading term outside to get your term on top as part of the quotient. So again, to get that thing, you're going to do the leading term inside divided by your leading term outside. And you'll divide just your leading term to get the pieces of the quotient as you go. And then once you divide those leading terms and you get a piece of your quotient, you're going to take that piece and you're going to multiply it by the whole divisor. And then after you do that multiplication, you're going to subtract that whole product from the stuff above it. And that is one round of polynomial long division. And then you'll kind of go through this cycle again where you say, okay, that was round one. Now I'm going to continue building my quotient. So you'll do the leading term inside of what's left divided by the leading term outside and get your next piece of your quotient. You'll multiply and then subtract your product, and that's another round. And you'll keep doing those rounds until the leading term inside is not able to be divided by the leading term outside. That's when you know you're done. And normally we'll write our answer as quotient plus remainder over divisor. In ALEKS, I think they're just going to give you boxes for your quotient and your remainder. But this is usually how we're going to write our answer here. All right, so let's actually try this. So we're going to perform polynomial long division with this guy. 4x to the third minus 3x squared plus x plus 7 divided by x minus 2. This whole thing that comes first is your divisor. The thing that you're dividing by, the thing that comes first is your dividend. This is the part that will go underneath your division bar. And then the thing you're dividing by is your divisor. That goes on the outside. So that first piece will go underneath your division bar. So we'll set that up. And as you put your dividend underneath your division bar, make sure you put it in descending order. So put your highest power of x first and then work your way down. This is already in descending order for us, so I don't really have to adjust that at all. But if it's out of order, just try to reorder it for yourself. That's going to help save you some time and headache. So our dividend, I keep doing that. Dividend goes inside. Our divisor, which is that x minus 2, goes on the outside. All right, so here we go. We're set up. We're going to start our polynomial long division. So we're going to start by dividing our leading terms to get the first piece of our quotient. So you're going to do the leading term inside divided by the leading term outside. So our leading term inside my division bar is 4x to the third, and we're going to divide that by my leading term outside. The leading term of my divisor is x. So now I have leading term inside divided by leading term outside. Simplify that and I get 4x squared. Because 4x to the third divided by x, one of your x's cancel, you've got 4x squared left. Now I'm going to take that term that I have on top, and I'm going to multiply that term, that 4x squared from the top, by my entire divisor, x minus 2, the whole thing. We're going to distribute this out and multiply it. And when we do, we're going to get 4x to the third minus 8x squared. Sorry, I usually write that in blue. So that 4x to the third minus 8x squared is what we get when we multiply that out. What you're going to do with that is subtract the whole thing. Make sure you subtract all of your pieces here. So you're going to subtract the 4x to the third, and you're going to subtract the negative 8x squared. Subtracting that negative 8 is actually going to make you add the 8x squared. So just be careful with that. So 4x to the third minus 4x to the third, those are going to cancel. That should always happen to your first piece. Negative 3x squared minus a negative 8x squared becomes negative 3x squared plus 8x squared, which is positive 5x squared. These guys will come down because technically you're subtracting 0 from them. So we'll have plus x plus 7 here. That's our first round of the polynomial long division. So that's round 1. My leading term inside is now 5x squared. That can be divided by my leading term outside of x. So we're going to keep going. 5x squared divided by x. Leading term inside divided by leading term outside. When we do that, we're going to get a positive 5x. So now we're going to take that positive 5x and we're going to multiply that by my entire divisor. And when we distribute that out, we are going to get 5. I always do this. I'm going to switch colors now. Trying to decide. So the stuff, all right, there we go. The stuff that's in red is kind of optional to write. You can do that to help yourself out, but you don't have to. It's not typically part of what the write-up looks like. But that's what is happening to create the pieces here. So 5x times x minus 2, that becomes 5x squared minus 10x. And now we're going to subtract that whole thing. So we're going to take 5x squared minus 5x squared. That disappears. X minus a negative 10x becomes x plus 10x. Overall, that becomes 11x. And we're going to bring this down because technically I'm subtracting 0 from 7. And I get 11x plus 7. All right, second round is done. Now I'm going to look at leading term inside divided by leading term outside. 11x divided by x. I can do that, so I'm going to go ahead and do another round. I'm going to have leading term inside divided by leading term outside. And when I do that, I'm going to get a positive 11 when that simplifies. So now we will take that 11 from the top, and I'm going to multiply that by my whole divisor. And when I do that and distribute, I'm going to get 11x minus 22, and I'm going to subtract the whole thing. So 11x minus 11x, those disappear. 7 minus a negative 22 becomes 7 plus 22. When I add those, I get 29. And that's all that's left inside. 29 cannot be divided by x, so I know I am done. This up here is my quotient. This down here is my remainder. And typically we would write our solution that this whole division is equal to my quotient, which is 4x squared plus 5x plus 11 plus your remainder of 29 over your divisor, which is x minus 2. That's typically how we would write our answer. All right, I've got another example for you. Go ahead and pause it and try this one on your own to see if you can do the polynomial long division, and then I'll run through it and we'll see how you did. All right, so here we go. We have our dividend here divided by our divisor. So I'm going to set up my division bar. I'm going to put my dividend inside that 20x to the third plus 22x squared minus 9x minus 8 inside. And again, I did not have to reorder because it's already from greatest power of x to smallest power of x. So I didn't have to reorganize, but you may have to. And my divisor, which is 5x plus 3, goes on the outside. And we're ready to divide. So we're going to do leading term inside, which is 20x to the third, divided by leading term outside, which is 5x. All right, leading term inside divided by leading term outside, 20 divided by 5 is 4. X to the third divided by x is x squared. Now that I have my term and my quotient, I'm going to take that term for my quotient of 4x squared, and I'm going to multiply by my whole divisor. Don't forget to distribute. That's going to become 20x to the third plus 12x squared. Again, this should be blue. Apparently, I never remember to switch my color again. Okay, and now that we do that, we're going to subtract the whole thing. 20x to the third minus 20x to the third, those go away. 22x squared minus 12x squared, that becomes positive 10x squared. And these guys will come down because we are subtracting 0. All right, leading term inside divided by leading term outside, 10x squared divided by 5x. We can do that, so we're going to do another round. 10x squared divided by 5x. Leading term inside divided by leading term outside. So when you divide that out, you get a positive 2x. And so now that we have that term on top, I'm going to take that new term from our quotient and multiply it by our whole divisor. And when I multiply that out and distribute, we're going to get 10x squared plus 6x. And I'm going to subtract that whole thing. When I do that, 10x squared minus 10x squared, those cancel. Negative 9x minus 6x becomes negative 15x. And we're subtracting 0, so that becomes minus 8. All right, second round is done. Leading term inside divided by leading term outside. Negative 15x divided by 5x. We can do that, so let's keep rocking. Negative 15x divided by 5x. Leading term inside divided by leading term outside. This is a negative 3. And so now I'm going to take that negative 3 from my term from my quotient, multiply it by my whole divisor, and we get negative 15x minus 9, and we're going to subtract that whole thing. So negative 15x minus a negative 15x, that becomes plus 15x. Those cancel. Negative 8 minus a negative 9, that becomes negative 8 plus 9. That becomes a positive 1. 1 divided by 5x, that does not divide out. We are done. Here's your quotient. Here's your remainder. And we can write our solution as the quotient plus your remainder, which here is 1, divided by your divisor, which is 5x plus 3, and that is what our solution would look like. Again, I think Alex is going to have boxes for you for your quotient and your remainder. All right, hopefully that helps with polynomial long division. Happy dividing. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you on Wednesday.